Hey, honored to be here. My name is Chris Carneal. Has anybody ever taken Myers-Briggs or any like assessment type stuff? I love this stuff. I feel like we kind of get the order of leadership wrong. We assume that it's our right to lead others. Really, it's a privilege we have to work towards. We have to earn the opportunity to lead others. But before we can lead others, we have to know others, who they are, everyone. If you start leading anything, you'll realize that everyone prefers to be led differently. But before we can even lead others or know others, we have to have some self-discipline, some introspection. We have to lead ourselves, right? No one wants to follow a leader that doesn't do what they say and have the integrity and credibility. But before we can lead ourselves, we have to know ourselves. There's 1,000 assessment type tools that will just give you a glimpse of another way to look at yourself or another conversation you can have with others about yourself. If anybody's taken the Myers-Briggs, this is 4 letters and 4 numbers. The second is called Kolbe, K-O-L-B-E. I highly recommend it. Our organization, we have about 300 team members right now. This past year, we had about 150 team members apply for a position, and all 150 took the Kolbe, and we found it as the most predictive of all the indicators and tests and so forth. Incredible language and common dialogue that is. Oh, you're a 3-3-10-3. You're a strategic planner. You're an ENFP, ISTJ. That's Myers-Briggs. I am an ENFP. Does anybody else in here an ENFP? Awesome, which means I'm going to be scatterbrained and go in 10 different directions and probably forget where I am a few times. This is who I am. It's a snapshot of a way to measure kind of something inside me. But I would encourage you as a leader to take advantage of any and all self-assessments and learn who you are. Your life is about learning you and who you are and understanding what gets you excited, what gets you passionate, and so forth. Let me show a picture. I'm first and foremost a husband to my beautiful wife, Lindy, of 11 years, and my 4 awesome kids, Grace, 2 girls and 2 boys. Grace is 8, Emma is 6, Christian turns 3 in a few weeks, and Camden is almost 7 months. So life is extremely busy. So make a note. Does anybody in here have 4 kids or more? I'm the old guy now. Golly, wow. I'm 33. I feel like I'm just getting started in life. And listen, life does not get simpler. You don't ever have more time and margin. So just very, very practical, if you don't hear anything else, practical advice to you right now. You'll never have more time in life, in the longevity, more years in front of you, more opportunity in front of you. You will also never have more margin in your day than you have right now. I'm going to talk about a few time-creating, margin-creating strategies that will hopefully give you an extra 5 minutes to an hour sometime in your day, and if you take advantage of that time, that's where you create the margin to change the world and to make a difference. So our organization is Booster. We do a few different things, but the primary thing that we're known for that we do is called the Boosterthon Fun Run. Anybody heard of the Boosterthon Fun Run? 3 of you? Oh, 7, good, okay. So let me show you a brief 1-minute video overview of what we do. This is our primary product this existing school year. Just a quick snapshot of what we do. If you grew up in America, you probably went to an elementary school, one of the 90,000 elementary schools in America, of which almost everyone, but maybe 10 we've ever heard of, did some sort of fundraiser, whether it's the Booster Club, the PTA, the athletic club, the parents, whatever it was, the PE department, the principal. There is a funding gap in any and every department, and people are primarily trying to solve the problem of funding gap, and with a good, noble goal to raise money for new books, a new gym floor, technology, teacher's salary, whatever it might be. And they're using that, they're filling the gap, and their primary tool that they're using is product sales, right? Product sale fundraisers. You probably participated. You either sold magazines, cookie dough, candy bars. Like, think about this a second. 20 years ago, you were in elementary school, and they took up a bulk of your education time, not to teach you, but to motivate you to sell cookie dough to grandma. This happens in 90,000 elementary schools across the country for the most part. So in college, we saw the need that it's kind of exclusive. If you don't sell cookie dough, you're not part of anything. And if you do sell it, you sold cookie dough to grandma. The school didn't get that much money. They had to do an incredible amount of work. My mom spent 35 years in education, so I know the work levels and the importance of freeing educators up to communicate and to lead and to teach. So if we could take the fundraising piece off of a school's plate. So went from South Florida, went to college in Birmingham, and I basically went around after I had this idea to about 50 potential schools. I got an idea. I think I have a better way to raise funds that includes everybody, that will raise you more money. Oh, I'll do all the work for you so you can educate and teach. Let me just kind of serve you and take that off your plate. And I was pretty much 0 for 49. And about the 50th school, and my sales pitch was, look, I'm in college. Well, have you done this before? No. Well, why do you think you could do it at our school? Well, I've got an idea. You're a college student with an idea, and you want me to trust you with our kids and their parents' money, and you're going to walk on our elementary campus, and, well, one incredibly gracious school, one person, one break, after 50 kind of rounds of who do you know, how could I break in, one school said, we'll try it. And I was far more surprised than the school was. Their goal was to raise $2,000 net profit. This is 2002 in Birmingham, Alabama. And total wing and a prayer and a lot of guts and enthusiasm, because that's about all we got. The school profited $22,000. And I was far more surprised than they were that it worked to that degree. It's evolved over the past 11 years now. We've grown tremendously thanks to God's blessing and a lot of hard work of incredible team members. Many of our team members are here on our marketing team that have helped us get to this point. But this school year will serve about 700,000 students in about 1,030 elementary schools in 22 states around the country. We love what we do because we get to resource schools, provide an alternative to product sales, put on a fun fitness-based, all-inclusive fundraiser. You don't raise any money, you're still part of this fun fitness event, and coming alongside it is this incredibly robust character curriculum that we teach. Our team on campus teaches live this year to over 700,000 students. So we view it as incredibly exciting. Here's a very quick glimpse of the program that'll give you a context of some things I've learned.
It's very hard to find something that your staff and your students and your administrators and your parents collaboratively love.
I didn't know how much thought you put into your program, and just seeing the depth of what goes into it for the kids is just phenomenal.
It has just had a dramatic effect on our school, for our students, for our parents, for our teachers, and I would encourage any principal to give Boosterthon a try. It has just been a remarkable experience for us.
If you're having a good time, say Boosterthon!
One of the best experiences as a mommy, as a PTO board member, as part of a school family. We couldn't have asked for more.
We have found Boosterthon to be invaluable because of all the value added that you just don't normally see behind the scenes.
So what we communicate to our families is we have finally found the right fundraiser for our school, one that our teachers and parents and our students actually look forward to, and it raises more money than anything else. So Boosterthon is an absolute no-brainer.
I don't know anyone that wouldn't be on board if they see you and meet you. And I'm just thankful for Boosterthon.
Awesome. Hit the next slide, JC. This is a picture of the 200 Booster team members that are full-time that activate that program all over the country. It's not just the idea that makes it happen. I'm going to talk in a minute about what actually, if you ever want your idea to scale, you have to begin now thinking about how do I find, discover, and develop leaders that can multiply whatever this idea is. And the sooner we think that way, even if it's 10 years or for us 4 years until we hired a team member, my wife and I driving around everywhere, living in my brother's basement, driving to every podunk school while we lived in Kentucky and everywhere before we even hired someone full-time, thinking maybe one day we could, maybe not. But if you ever want to scale your idea, you've got to begin now developing yourself as a leader worth following so that one day you can multiply your dreams into doers that share your heart and passion. Gosh, I'm so far away from that. The sooner you think, don't put a cap and a limit to whatever your dream might be. You will be surprised it's going to take different shapes and forms and change 10 times, but whatever it is, if you are going to scale and multiply, you will primarily do it through a group of people that will multiply the vision and passion. So the props goes to our incredibly hardworking, talented, values-based team. Just a quick example of one of the things we do now that we, for 8 years, tried to figure out how to do it best. Tomorrow night, we have 19 candidates coming in town that might potentially start with us as team members next fall, August 2014. And of those 19, we had phone conversations with 60, and we had applications for 110. We whittled that down. We spent 6 months in the application process to bring in 19 incredibly highly charged, values-based leaders we feel like share our vision and mission. And out of those 19, we'll probably select 7 or 8 that will join us a year from now, right? So that talent pipeline literally took over a decade to develop, but now that's why we feel like we can continue to deliver a higher level of service. So the sooner you can just think about, just put 1% category in your mind, am I the type of person that one day could attract other leaders so that what's in my heart can spread to others? If there's one visual I want to leave you with, this is a visual I will tell our team tomorrow night. A new team member that says, what is going on? I've heard a little bit about Booster. I've heard a little bit about what you do, but who are you? What is the identity of the organization? We say we want you to work with us because of all the things we're doing externally. We also want you to work with us. We've whittled you down because we think you are the best, because we want you to impact our culture. I'm going to talk about culture in just a second. We want to impact you. We want you to impact us. So I like to view life. I feel like leaders view life as an adventure and a challenge, at least millennials, right? Let's picture our life as a mountain to climb. It's huge, it's daunting, there's base camps. Sometimes we're alone, sometimes we're together, sometimes the oxygen tank runs out, sometimes we're out of fuel, sometimes it's blistering cold, sometimes we got a ton of energy, sometimes people are carrying us up the mountain. But at the end of the day, you might share the worldview and story that I grew up with that only until recently has changed and solidified. I thought I had to choose, if I was going to get to the top of the mountain, the end of my life, I thought I was going to get to the top of the mountain holding a flag, and I had to choose which flag I was going to hold. So if I were to tell you my life story, the theme of it, at least professionally, would be the internal struggle between mission or ministry or impact, or whatever word you want to use, and business and entrepreneur and startup and sales and growth and kick and tail and doing something for a reason and for others and being a capitalist and providing opportunity and serving the least of these and back and forth. And I thought I would end my life, I'm in my rocking chair drinking sweet tea on the porch with my wife and grandkids one day, and I'm looking back and I'm thinking, oh man, what if I chose the wrong thing? What if I chose ministry? So I was a religion major who went to seminary, and started businesses on the side. But what if I chose that and thought I was really gifted, or could have been, or missed opportunities to do something in the for-profit space, business-wise? Or what if I did that but thought, man, I got a good bank account when I'm 85 years old, but I missed the opportunity to change the world and make a difference in others' lives? And that is a completely wrong worldview. My challenge to you will be to picture yourself. It is much tougher, but you are leaders that chose on a Tuesday night to come here, to gather around others, to pay money, to learn. There is a hunger, a fire in your belly, a humility about you that says, I don't know all there is to know. I'm not everything I know that I one day can be, but I will do whatever it takes. Even though it's tougher, it is more noble. I want to get to the top of the mountain holding 2 flags. For us, for our organization, good. We define, these literally are always in the back of my Suburban, but we, to remind everybody, I was writing a wave runner this weekend. I want primarily to remind myself, C.S. Lewis, any C.S. Lewis fans out here? He says, people need more often to be reminded than instructed. I need to remind myself daily that I am called to, have an obligation to, the responsibility to daily hold as high as I can, as firm as I can, both flags. 2 flags. For us, this is our vision to change the world. There's a lot of different ways in which we do that, and even the mission changes and strategies changes year to year, and business excellence. And I do not want to finish my life on top of the mountain with just one and not the other. In fact, I want to use my business platform. In fact, I feel like in 2013, and for the next 30 years, as far as I can see with everything I've read, there is no greater platform to make a difference in the lives of others than a business platform. Whatever the organization is, if you work in a church, it's awesome. There's maybe an hour or 2 hours a week that people are choosing to come to your environment. If you're an organization and you have for-profit mission or a strategy of serving others, of delivering an excellent product, and people choose to buy it, your internal team is working with you 40 hours a week. So just by sheer number of the time you have to impact one another, you can, though it's not quite as direct at first, you can make an incredible difference in the lives of your team. It will lead to legacy and heritage changes in their lives and in yours, and you will make a difference in their lives. This flag is not possible without being excellent. This is very tough for an ENFP. This is very tough for me. I am constantly thinking about just raising one and going all in on this side, and oh gosh, we're out of money, and the mission's done and it's over because we're not excellent. Or, hey, if I do this, the bottom line's awesome, but I don't want to finish my life and realize that I did not have the lasting impact on others that I could have, or I had the opportunity or the stewardship to have. So if you can picture whatever your mountain is and whatever your flags are, for us, business excellence and missional impact. I want to get to the top of the mountain. It will not be because of my strength. It will not be, I will not get there alone. It will be with the help of others, the grace of God. The goal, and as soon as we can think this way, would be to get to the top of the mountain holding both flags. This is, for some of you, you've heard this hundreds of times, and for others of you, this is maybe a paradigm shift like it was in my life. It took me observing for-profit business leaders living their life missionally, creating cultures and environments that were redemptive in nature, that were holistic in nature, that were grace-filled and forgiving, and not only spiritual. In the context of your organization, whatever you're doing, having encouraging, affirming conversations that were life-giving to others. There's an incredible quote by A.W. Tozer. This is a book called The Pursuit of God. Wherever you are on the spiritual map, I feel like this quote resonates with all of us. Let every man abide in the calling where he is called, and his work will be as sacred as the work of the ministry. It is not what a man does that determines whether his work is sacred or secular. It is why he does it. I'll read it again. This is a great one. A.W. Tozer. Yep. A.W. Tozer in the book, The Pursuit of God. Let every man abide in the calling wherein he is called, and his work will be as sacred as the work of the ministry. It is not what a man does that determines whether his work is sacred or secular. It is why he does it. Examine your motives, your heart, and your intent in everything that you do. The way you treat your team, the things you purchase, the way you go about your business. Why you do it is as missional and as honoring as working for many of the incredible nonprofits that are in the room. So if you're on the for-profit side of things, you can have just as great an impact. Maybe the greatest impact you could have, especially in 2013, is providing opportunity and jobs for somebody, right? We don't need to over-spiritualize or missionize. I'm going to provide jobs and I'm going to serve people with excellence. That in and of itself is an incredible opportunity for others. So 3 things that if I could go back in time 11 years, if I could kind of put in the Doc Brown DeLorean, one of my favorite childhood memories, and I could put the little thing on, I could jump in with the flex capacitor, and I could go back in time. What would I tell myself the very beginning of our organization, and I still don't, but when I really didn't have a clue of even what I was going to do, what our product was, what would I pack inside the car with me, take back in time? So these are soft skills. These are hopefully transferable principles, not things that are hard skills specific to my business or any one business, but these are soft skill principles that I think apply just as much personally as I do professionally. I feel like these 4 traits, in fact, I use them, think about them as much, if not more, in the context of loving my wife and my kids and building a home family environment as I do building a professional work environment. Number 1, if you've read Jim Collins' Who Over What? If you have not read the book Good to Great, a question, what's the best book? What's a book I want to start? What have you read? I have read it 7 times, start to finish. Good to Great is, in my opinion, the best business book, holistic, comprehensive. And the first few times I read it, I knew I wasn't ready for it. Even as I'm reading it now, I'm thinking, that principle is so good, personally and professionally, I'm just not ready for that content. That's why I've read it 7 times. I'll probably read it again next year. And what Jim talks about, and if there's anything we've done right, plenty of failures, millions of dollars worth of mistakes. Many times I've not been a fantastic leader daily, but if there's something we've done right, it's that we put the who over the what. Who we serve, but primarily who we hire and how we build our internal team. So even if you're thinking in the context of this is just me, I'm just starting this idea, yes, but one day maybe you will be called or you'll have the intuition to grow and scale. And you want to be thinking now about creating an environment that will attract other leaders with your heart. Hopefully, this is your goal, that are smarter and harder working and more excellent than you. And you'll have the humility to do so. You'll build that environment they want to work in, and they will help you scale. Because it's not about you, it's about the flag in which you're waving and holding. It's about the mission, whatever that might be. So who over what, and Peter Drucker, an incredible strategist, wrote, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Have you heard that phrase before? Well, we're literally, don't feel bad. You do not have to have a business plan day one. I had a meeting yesterday with this incredible business consultant. We're 11 years in, and we don't have a business plan, right? We've served, this year we'll serve 1,000 schools. We have 200 team members, and we don't have a, but I know we need one. So don't put it off as long as I have. Strategy is important, but culture must come first. The world's greatest strategy without people that want to activate your ideas doesn't matter. And the culture has to be one that you want to be part of. So if you're a loner at first, think about the culture that you want to live in and work in. Who over what? People first, people first, people first. Culture's everything. You know what? Go back one, JC. Let me just give you a very practical example. Because we did this today, and it's so impactful. Literally, again, today, I teared up. It's the guy word for cried a little bit. And so did our entire organization. This is very practical. In fact, when I've shared this before, it sounds so simple, but I'll get the most, that's a great idea. I'm doing that with my organization tomorrow around this very practical idea. In order to lose the wall and break down the wall that sometimes exists between professional and personal, right? To get to know someone as a real person. Here's a very simple thing you can do that we do almost weekly, 2 to 3 weeks a month, and it absolutely changes and enhances our working environment. We say to an individual, we want you in front of the home office. You could do it as a team, you could do it one-on-one, you could break up a department. You determine how you execute this. And we say, we're going to give you 20 minutes. We want you to tell your story. You choose which direction you want to go in. You're kind of private, no big deal. Show pictures of whatever fun moments in your life. If you're spiritual, you can tell a spiritual story. You can tell a historical story. You can talk about your family, your hopes and dreams of the future, the past. It doesn't matter, whatever you want, you tell your story. And without a doubt, every single week today, Colin talks about Brett and his impact on his life 10 years ago. And all of a sudden, the whole place just kind of starts. And we see Colin not as the finance director who's really smart, but as a person who struggles, who has challenges, but also has dreams and successes. And we start to see who he truly is. So you give permission to the individual to tell their story. But there's something about these 20 minutes that's just magical. It just melts the culture, and we see people as individuals. One strategic note, if you are the leader of your organization, think about who you put first. Don't enact this tomorrow morning with someone that's a brand new team member, because they're going to kind of set the pace of, you don't want to be an hour story or alienate everybody. You want there to be a little, a bit of a gracious tone to their story. But just that one opportunity to say, hey, we want you to tell your story. In doing so, and then giving everybody permission to tell their story, absolutely enhances the culture of any organization. So something we just kind of stumbled upon and discovered. Number 2, something I take back in the time machine with me and tell my 22-year-old self 11 years ago, you are thinking right now, if you're starting an organization, how do I get, I heard a little bit of it tonight, enough financial capital? What's the business model? Do I bring on investors? Do you, like me, use as many credit cards as you can to get started? What is the financial capital building strategy? Or some of you are getting degrees, master's degrees, doctorate degrees, learning. How do I build intellectual capital? Extremely important. But I would prioritize social capital, the ability to build authentic, real relationships with people that you can help and serve and people that can help and serve you. If you prioritize social capital right now at this stage and build it into your DNA and the DNA of your organization, this capital will give you the greatest ROI of any capital you can invest in. Investing in yourself, in your team, in your clients, relationally, socially. We call it SOCAP. I have weekly SOCAP meetings where my only agenda is to sit with my notebook open and learn from someone that's at least 1 or 2 chapters and stages ahead of me. Figure out the way to get meetings for 45 minutes. This is a long talk I give with our organization and training of how do I set up the meeting, what do I ask, how do I ask open-ended questions, how do I follow up the meeting, always with a handwritten note that day, thanking them and telling them what I learned for that meeting. You do that over the course of a decade, learning from the successes and mistakes of others so you can repeat their successes and avoid their mistakes. I mean, this is maybe the single greatest leadership practical principle that has worked for our organization, building social capital. How do I do it? What does it look like for you? It's your style, it's your system, but it has to come from a heart of, I certainly do not know all that I should know. I don't even know the right questions to ask. I don't even know what I don't know, but I'm gonna have a posture of humility. I'm gonna bring an open notebook and a gratitude thank you note on the back end, and I'm gonna learn all I can. You do that for a decade, you'll be amazed how much you learn. Build social capital. The third thing I take back in time in my DeLorean with me and say, man, you've got to prioritize this. Is what I think is the center of the leadership bullseye for our organization. It should certainly be on your radar, intentionality. Intentionality might be the key to everything. Doing something on purpose for a purpose. Taking advantage of every opportunity and moment, right? There's so many individuals that are just on their heels. The posture that if you watch great athletes, they're on their toes, they're balanced, they're proactive, not reactive. They're leaning in, they're leaning forward. Their life is about intentionality, not just with their words or actions, sometimes with their ears. Whatever their posture is, they are constantly thinking about the next step and being intentional. So I would challenge you to think about this word. Am I an intentional leader? How do I become an intentional leader? How do I apply the principle of intentionality, doing everything I do for a purpose, on purpose? This is a conversation that I'm just hoping to start in your life. I feel like people grow into the conversations you create around them, right? And I want to begin the conversation of intentionality in your life and in your organization tonight. The fourth principle, and maybe my favorite, number your days. There's an incredible Bible verse, Psalm 90, verse 10. The years of a man's life are 70, maybe by measure of strength 80, but teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Regardless of what religion or spiritually where you are, few people would disagree with the fact that they desire a heart of wisdom, right? And this is a common core trait that we all desire, a heart of wisdom. How do I make great decisions, wise decisions, so I can be a life-giving leader? Number our days. We'll do this tonight or right now. Do it. Let me just sum it up for you. There's about, if you live to be, average age of Americans today is 82 years old. That's 30,000 days. I've just numbered them for you. Give or take, hopefully many more. The average age of this room is 27. Average of everybody. This is perfect. This works out really good because that's 10,000 days. 1/3 of your life is already over. It's in the rearview mirror. 20,000 days ahead. Number them. I have an incredible app. It's free. It's called T0. And I have it on the home page of my iPhone. And I have my days numbered. I've been married 11 years and 94 days and 8 hours. 6 years, 182 days until I turn 40. I'm going to Mexico in 62 days. This school year, we have 234 days left. The clock is ticking. Leaders, athletes, we resonate. The clock is ticking. The sense of urgency is here. My youngest son graduates high school. We're empty nesters. We're just getting started with life, and we're empty nesters in 17 years and 223 days. And then and my wife pushed this up to 90. I said 82 is the number I talk about, but we'll go 90, sweetheart. So, optimist, 56 years, 182 days left. That's it. Clock is ticking. What will I do? How high will I raise my flags over the next 56 years, right? 20,000 days, 30,000. Number your days that you may gain a heart of wisdom. If you read the New Testament was written in Greek, and most of the time, the word time is used in the Greek language in the Bible. The word is chronos, chronology. We just talked about time tonight. That was a fantastic setup, right? time of the clock. It's always moving, always going at the same pace. Doesn't matter what's happening around it. It is 2 o'clock no matter what. The world's on fire. The economy's up or down. You're getting married. You're raising. It doesn't matter. Chronos time. 3 times and only 3 times in the New Testament, there's a different word for time used. And the word is kairos. Kairos time. Kairos is best defined as moments that matter. Supreme moments. If I were to say, tell me your story, here's the microphone. You're going to give me the chapter titles of your life. The most important people, the most memorable moments, the time you were on your dad's shoulders during the electric light parade and the fireworks were going off at Disney World. That matters more than the drive home from Disney World, right? The person that impacted you, maybe tonight. These are kairos moments. Leaders that number their days and are intentionally leading, they see these opportunities and they experience more kairos moments. When you know that all time in life is not equal, and a day in your 20s is kind of like a week in your 30s, it's kind of like a month in your 40s because you're just that much closer to the starting line and not that close to the finish line. All time in life is not equal. Time will never be more valuable than it is right now. Time is the only non-renewable resource. We can drill more oil, plant more food, our government can print more money, but the only non-renewable resource is time. Leaders that change the world and make a difference raise 2 flags, and they're always intentionally thinking about numbering their days. I've got a few more, very brief. This is the ENFP. I got to throw these together. A couple more things I've just learned that you might want to write down. Number 1, listen to your spouse's intuition. I'm not going to go into details. These are just put this down. Listen to your spouse's intuition. Not on everything, but generally on people, they're usually correct. Okay, just write that down. It will come in very handy eventually. 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell writes about, the amount of time, if you're in the dreaming stage, not quite the doing stage, it will take you longer to get whatever you're doing off the ground. And if you listen to the successful stories of leaders that have built anything significant, the overnight success story is 10,000 hours or at least a decade in the making. And those that have the perseverance to keep pushing through, and you can't alone gather together to do it, will be the ones that succeed. Those that do succeed have this internal trait that I love and we use internally called grit. When the going is tough, I will persevere. When I run out of strength, I'll seek strength from another source. I will seek encouragement from my friends. But grit is one of the most indicative character traits of leaders that ultimately make a difference in the world. Let no one outlearn you. You have got to be the chief learner in your organization. What you signal to your organization when you stop learning is, I've got it, I figured it out. And that is how the mighty fall, to quote another Jim Collins book title. Once you feel like you figured it out, buckle up. Someone else is going to undermine you. Don't let the sun catch you sleeping. Tomorrow morning, set your clock 30 minutes early. Yes, it's a little bit painful, but if you set the agenda for the world before 8:30 happens and the world and the traffic and the emails start setting your agenda, those 30, 45, or 60 minutes that you get a head start on everybody else in life. If you just study sprinters, the people that start on the inside lane have a disproportionate advantage. Horses, life being the race that it is, starting on the inside lane means getting up before everybody else. Figure out a way to build that into your schedule now, because your kids will wake you up eventually. And finally, in versus on. This will be, you need to start the dialogue and conversation now. This will be the most difficult turn in the wheel or change or shift, is when you take what you're doing that you love, that you're good at, but you realize to make this product and deliver this service and being in the business, clients, gut, intuition, serving them, but wait a minute, now I've got to go build the product, sell the product, hire an attorney to protect the product, build insurance in case the product doesn't work, get a office building so other people can do the product. All of a sudden, you will find that you're now working on the business. It's incredibly difficult. This is the book called The E-Myth, and he referenced this, Michael Gerber. The sooner you can start developing, if right now you're in the business stage, start talking to people that are on the business stage and ask how they got there. So a few things I've learned over the years. Number 1 visual to leave you with. You can be and are a 2 flags leader. What does business excellence, organizational excellence look like, and what does it look like missionally to make a difference in the lives of others? It's more difficult, but there's nothing more rewarding. And with the leaders in this room, you can change the world.